Hey Horde, I want to go over the Amarr Alpha router that Horde has called the Dragoon. So let's look at the fitting first. We have 3 lasers, drone damage amplifiers, a minimum sanity shield booster which we'll use to keep ourselves healthy, and an afterburner which we'll use to go fast. And going fast is pretty important. So the goal of this ship is to belt rat. And basically what you do with belt ratting is you go to a belt and you kill the NPCs there. The NPCs drop loot and they give you bounties. And the bounties come directly into your wallet with in terms of ISK. So the first big thing we're gonna do is we're gonna undock. I'm doing this in GME, which is our ratting area and mining area, which is a little bit more safer than 7RM. So there are videos on our YouTube channel to get here easily as well. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to group our guns using this icon, and we're going to load some ammo in the guns. So that's done. We also need to load our cap boosters. Now there are 2 ways I can do this. I can do this in space by loading it this way, or I can quickly dock up and do it a lot quicker. Let me show you. If I do it here, then this entire cycle needs to be done, which is pretty awful. So we're quickly just gonna dock, and we're gonna do it manually. So we hit Alt F to open up the fittings window, and we hit Alt C to open up our inventory, and then we drag this into. Ah, I didn't know it would do that. So apparently it holds the cooldown. That's rather cool. Okay, so that would have worked. Dragging it in there would have worked if it wasn't already reloading. So instead, we're just going to wait it out. And meanwhile, I'm going to tell you how to find these asteroid belts. So if you right click in space and you go to asteroid belts, then we'll have about, what is it, 10? 8 asteroid belts available. Someone's gonna point out that it's 7 on YouTube or something, but whatever. There are a few asteroid belts. This is actually not that many for a system like this, so feel free to also belt rat in the neighboring star systems, solar systems. Anyway, we just loaded our medium and shield booster, and it has 7 charges, which means we can click it 7 times. Or we can run it 7 times, depending on how you use it. And this will basically heal our shield back. And our shield is the main resource we want to manage. But let's get into that in a moment. We have 2 weapon types, which are our drones, which are over here, and our guns. As you can see, our optimum range for the guns is between 3 and 2k. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. And for drones, we can right click here to launch our drones, and then they're here. To pull them back, you can do Shift R, and they'll be returning to you. Or you can click here. Actually, let me do it one more time so you can see. You can click here and return to drone bay. So let's start our first belt, shall we? Let's just go to belt 1. Not all these belts have rats, and they respawn as well. So you're basically gonna cycle through them over time. If one belt is empty, you're gonna go to the next one and the next one and the next one. So let's have a look. And there we have a few belt rats, which are red. I'm just gonna click here and I'll explain later, and turn up my prop mod, which I'll explain later as well. We're gonna focus on the small ones first. And we see they're already attacking us. We're gonna launch our drones. And our goal is to kind of get within fighting range of these dudes. But I don't want to burn directly at them, so I don't want to hit right click and approach. What I want to do, I want to click in space and get this blue line kind of like at an angle of them. Because this angle gives us transversal. And transversal means that they have trouble hitting us, as you can see right here. Now I take a little bit of damage for the first time. Now you see I'm a little bit into 3k range, so I'm gonna put this a little bit, and then let's orbit at 2500. Start firing a guns, which I did by pressing F1, and I should already have put my drones on him. As you see, I'm taking a lot of damage. So I'm quickly gonna focus on these dudes, and I should probably have done my angle a little bit better. But luckily these small ones die very quickly. Let me turn off my shield booster before I run out of charges. And we're gonna orbit again. As you can see with orbiting, I'm first going into a straight line and then I'm orbiting. And that is exactly why we're taking so much damage. Because when we're at a straight line, we are actually not mitigating that much damage as we were doing before, because before we were coming at an angle. Luckily, however, as soon as these small ones are down, it's not that much of an issue anymore. So we can now just focus on the bigger ones by orbiting. But I do want to show you a bit more later on about how to do it a little bit more effectively. And that comes down to keeping that transversal up. So let's focus on this one, because apparently my drones are already on it. Also, there's someone in my belt, and I've been pretty rude stealing his mobs, it seems. Don't do that, considering I didn't see him till we were doing a video. I'm gonna finish this anyway, and apologize to him later. But yeah, don't fight over mobs. That's not very nice. And we're gonna reload this thing. Again, this reload cycle is really long. So if you take a lot of damage like I did initially, and you run out of charges, it's time to get the hell out, because yeah, that's probably gonna be your death. So you want to be a little bit careful about that. And once we finish this one up, we're gonna go to the next build, and we're gonna show you a little bit more about how to do this effectively. So I decided to go to a different area, so I didn't want to be in the way of that guy. So we're gonna take a new belt and we're gonna try again. As soon as you land in the belt, you want to turn on your afterburner, because this gets your speed up. And speed and transversal are like the name of the game. That's the way you mitigate most of the damage. And if you do it well, you will hardly ever need to use your shield booster. So let's see if we have some rats over here. Okay, that's good. So we have 3 small ones, and the 3 small ones are the big issue. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in at an angle over here, or actually maybe not even come in at all. I'm just gonna wait for the small frigates to fly ahead. Let's launch drones as well. And at the very least, doing this, the big ships will not be able to target me at all, or fire at me at all. And the only thing I have to worry about is the smaller ships. So this one is gonna reach me first, so let's go a little bit of an angle so my lasers will work as well. Although my skills are so high that they don't even reach me. That's one thing to point out. My skills are quite a bit higher than most alphas, so you will have quite a bit more time to tank. So I'm just gonna fly through here, and if you follow the blue line, you can kind of see I'm taking angles. So let's shoot at this guy, put drones on him. At the moment I'm keeping it running to keep my shield up, but what you generally want to do is you want to pulse it once. So click it once, click it off again, so you don't waste any ammo. And what will probably happen is you will forget it a few times. Also, you now see I click up, right? So my ship stops or goes to half speed and then flies up. You'll see me taking a lot more damage because my speed is lower. So you generally want to take small and subtle changes to prevent doing that. So let's target the remaining ships. and finish those off as well. So the other ship is over here. So you'll see if I'm on this side of the arc, suddenly this guy will have a better shot firing at him, as I'm almost traveling in a straight line with him. Which at the moment is okay. Like, I can tank the damage. It's no big deal since we're down to 2 ships. But that is something to be mindful of. And like, that is gonna get you killed quite a few times by practicing that. One thing to keep in mind though is that this skill isn't only useful for PvE, it's also very useful for PvP, because these mechanics don't only apply to PvE ships, they apply to every ship. Okay, let me just pause this for a moment, and let me show you something. So now we're going at an angle, and this guy's gonna have a hard time hitting us right now, because we're going quick, and 2, we're going at an angle. So you see now at the moment it's not doing any damage anymore, and I'm slowly getting closer. Now I overtake him now, so I will adjust my angle a bit. So I may basically make a tighter angle, but I subtly change my angle and not like abruptly, meaning I stay at my same speed and I slowly go there. If I would do this, for example, click like in a 90-degree angle, you see my speed go down all the way and you see my damage pick up. And that is absolutely not what we want to do. You want to make small corrections. And now we're reloading at all as well. So making a change like that or clicking in the wrong space is could be really detrimental. Another thing you're noticing is if you run this thing without ammo, it will completely kill your capacitor. Basically 1 or 2 cycles and your capacitor is dead, which is nice as in an emergency, but what you really want to do is reload. So let me just finish this guy off instead of fucking around with him. So you kind of want to have a mix of orbiting when it's safe and trying to do manually piloting when it's not safe, and combat angles at high speed and make small changes instead of abrupt changes, unless you really have to. Let's loot ships as well. I generally only loot bigger wrecks, but that's up to you. Small wrecks will generally have less ammo, less loot than anything else. But even these medium racks can carry up to like 500 million of loot. This one actually has 2 million of loot, so that's quite good. And then let's do this other one as well. So while we do this, there's 2 things you kind of need to be mindful of. The blue line is your direction where you will be eventually be going. And this arrow, which is now almost the same, is the direction your ship is currently going. So say I do this, you see the blue line change slowly, the arrow changes slowly, and the blue line changes immediately. Then if I click back up, it will do the same thing. And that's really useful for navigation and manual piloting. So to sum all of that up, have your afterburner on. Try to come in at an angle at all the NPCs. Pulse your shield booster whenever needed. Only pulse it without ammo if you really have to. Otherwise, it's better to warp off and reload if you cannot tank the ammo. And then just use your drones and lasers to shoot at stuff. So a little bit about drones. We already showed you how to launch them and how to use them. Another important thing is sometimes you leave them behind. So for example, I'm here now, right? I'm in belt. Why did I? Well, I'm in belt 3 over here. So say I warp to belt 1 and I leave my drones behind. Suddenly, drones don't warp with you, so suddenly you're without drones and you're kind of useless. Because drones do quite a bit of damage for you. So in order to do this, you want to go back to where you came from. Another thing to point out is when you click on them, on the top right corner you'll see bounty. That's what they'll be paying out. Let's go back to belt 3. Then what you want to do is when you're out of warp, because the menu you get is dependent on your state of your ship at the moment, you want to do reconnect to lost drones, and then they'll return to you, and you're pretty much good to go. So I hope this was useful for you guys. If you have any questions or you struggle with this type of stuff, feel free to ask for advice in Nubians. And also, don't forget that teaming up with other people in Hordes might actually be useful to clear this a little bit more safer and quicker than alone.